Welcome, humans and non-humans. It is I, the Basement Dweller. I've summoned you here to discuss something I haven't talked about in a good while. That is Godzilla. Today I want to talk about my 10 favorite monsters from the franchise. Well, top 10 to be more precise. Now before I start, I want to make a few ground rules. One, Godzilla won't be on this list and as many versions of him. I just want to talk about other monsters that aren't him, and as well as that, 3 or 4 of the entries would just be Godzilla. And my second rule is I'm kind of combining most versions of the monsters as one, because I don't want to have 2 of the same type of monster on the list. They want MechaGodzilla 1 and then the Heisei MechaGodzilla as well. On the list. It's not gonna cut it here. Now, with that out of the way, we shall commence. Number 10. Megagears. Megagears is this queen dragonfly monster from ancient times that came into the modern age when the G-Force was testing some black hole designed to get rid of Godzilla once and for all. Which, on the side note, can we just talk about that we have a weapon that fires a black hole that somehow doesn't destroy the Earth, and Godzilla gets into it and then also somehow escapes? It's really confusing, the plot for this film. And also, I guess many fun fact, this was the last Versus film that lasted until all the way till Godzilla vs. Kong, which, it's something to note. So Megagears, she's this queen of insect monsters known as Megaloon? I'm not gonna bother. I'm butchering these names. Which, they first appeared in the film Rodan, and then they molt into an insect called Megaluna, which are these dragonfly insects that have a stinger on their tail. But instead of injecting venom, they absorb energy, and they also have the ability to transfer the energy to others through the stinger. So basically, these Megalunas, absorb a bunch of Godzilla energy, and then they go up to their queen Megagears. They give her the energy, so now she has some Godzilla juice inside of her, and basically she molts out and has this epic groovy design. And I don't know what to say. She has this epic design of these cool abilities. She can move so fast that she becomes a blur, and her stinger used to absorb even more energy. And in video games, she could absorb energy, and take it a step further by copying the beams of the energy she just absorbed. She even has a personality, which is not really common for the Millennium series of monsters to have, and I believe she's a bit underrated. Number 9. Kiryu. Mechagodzilla 2 are groovy. The Heisei Mechagodzilla in its super form is very tubular, but Kiryu has a cooler design. I mean, there's also the anime MechaGodzilla, but I kind of forget that exists, honestly. But, back to Kiryu. Kiryu is this mecha that basically has... Well, not basically, it does have the original 1954 Godzilla skeleton hidden underneath all its metal, and actually looks like a robot double of Godzilla. Kiryu has so many cool weapons, from a drill arm, a backpack with a bunch of accessories on it, maser cannons in its mouth, the Absolute Zero cannon, which later gets replaced with a triple maser cannons, and then he also has this DNA computers inside of him to help him, quote-unquote, behave like a living creature for combat purposes. But sometimes it backfires as the spirit of the 1954 Godzilla possesses the mecha, and the whole thing goes on a cool rampage, and I don't know, I just love how it actually looks like Godzilla and has all these variety of weapons. And if I could pilot a mecha, Kiryu's the one I want to pilot the most. Just gotta hope that 1954's Godzilla's spirit doesn't show up and pay me a visit when I'm operating this thing. Number 8. Orga. I just love the design a lot. Orga is an alien, which already is pretty groovy to have in a Godzilla film. And Orga starts off as a spaceship, from the outer edges of space, then begins to learn about Earth and its organisms. Then it sees Godzilla and finds out about its regenerative properties and begins to make its quote-unquote perfect form. Orga then starts off as this huge hulking monster with huge hands and this organic shoulder cannon. And then, oh, actually, no, he didn't start stuff like that. He starts with this weird, tall, slender CGI monster, but we're not talking about that. So, yeah, he has this cool organic shoulder cannon, and he has this super duper healing regenerative abilities. You know, you fire at him, he quickly regenerates. And he can even open his mouth so he can absorb more of Godzilla's DNA to become the perfect clone of Godzilla. He's just cool. Number 7. Space Godzilla. So what makes, like, what if we make Godzilla, right? But we just have him more cooler. Well, you got Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla is based on Godzilla's super form from the Super Nintendo game Super Godzilla, but with these huge crystal shoulders. And his spines are also more like organized and neatly placed and, shaped as well. And Space Godzilla could grow these large crystals to make a fortress. He has telekinesis. He could fly. He could, summon a reflective force field. Just be glad he's not the one that's terrorizing Tokyo as much as the normal Godzilla, because the world is basically in trouble if that would be the case. As well as that, I kind of feel bad that I don't think we're going to see Space Godzilla anytime soon, as most of these modern films are taking a more serious approach to Godzilla, and I don't know how you're going to take a serious approach to Godzilla cells going to space, getting crystallized, going through black holes and exiting them, and then just showing up, here and just happen to land on planet Earth again. And I don't know, man. I don't think they're ever gonna do it, which is pretty saddens me a bit, not gonna lie. Space Godzilla, where are you? And come back. Okay. Number 6. King Ghidorah. I just love how King Ghidorah basically became Godzilla's rival. He has these 3 heads. He has gravity beams that sometimes alter gravity depending on which version of Ghidorah it is. And usually it's a huge challenge for Godzilla to conquer. Not much to say, just really like King Ghidorah a lot. Number 5. Biollante. I just love the history of Biollante. From the unused, monster from the 1985 film that was going to be this weird, transforming monster and all this other stuff. And then he scrapped over and over and over again, and he couldn't catch a break. He was supposed to fight Mothra, he was supposed to fight Godzilla again, but then he wasn't, but then he kind of was. And then he's supposed to be like this ancient Chinese guy, or some weird towering monster, fish thing, hybrid chimera thing. But then he found his home in a little known video game that is very difficult, which I don't want to talk about. It's like, I'm talking about Super Godzilla. Yeah, that is super into the name. So now it's they're not messing around. And Super Godzilla, Biollante, has both Godzilla and King Ghidorah's DNA and is like ultra powerful. He's so powerful that Godzilla needs to transform in order to have a chance to defeat him. I just love how we got this monster that Godzilla can't do him anything unless he transforms and goes even further beyond. I like this monster. Also, I like him because he's not that well known to most people. Number 4. Biollante. Also, I noticed some people call her Biollante, but huh? I don't know. You're just weird if you call her Biollante. Biollante is a tri-bred monster that has Godzilla cells, Rose cells, and human doctor's dead daughter cells. That's a mouthful. Biollante starts off in his rose form that later transforms into this huge beast with his alligator-like mouth and look at those teeth right there, then spikes exiting out near her mouth, and then she has this cool orange belly and then all these plant vines with mouths at the end, and like she towers over Godzilla and looks like she could actually consume him, and then she sprays out all this plant juices and sap and bio stuff, and she's groovy. I really like her a lot. This is like even like the technical aspects of making the creature move with this whole moving stage on wheels and all that stuff, and the puppeteers and strings, and I just love Biollante. She's cool. Number 3, Destroya. Destroya is this radical monster with this far out design. I love how I love his final form the most, but more particularly. I mean, sure, he has these other forms, but they don't compare to his final form. He towers over Godzilla. He has these wings, this weird chest spike hole thingy. He has this large horn that could turn into this energy saber, apparently, that could just cut through almost anything. And I really love his design. And I really like as well how his backstory ties into the 1954 film, as he has ties of being born with the oxygen destroyer, and he basically spews out, micro oxygen that later becomes an oxygen destroyer breath in itself. And he's the monster that Godzilla didn't defeat. In fact, it was the military that defeated him. Well, granted, he was very weakened, and they just used cold temperatures as it was a weakness of his, but the fact that Godzilla was powered up in his meltdown form, and most monsters will get obliterated, eviscerated, if they try to go toe-to-toe meltdown Godzilla, and Destroyer actually handled him, that's awesome right there. Number 2, Hedorah. Hedorah is a monster that used to frighten me as a kid. And just like many things, I get fascinated with things that fear me. So like, I want to know more about it. And what I learned was pretty groovy. It's this trash slime monster that I feel like is a bit underrated. Hedorah could keep growing with no limits and is impervious to most attacks and can transform into many forms to help suit its needs. Hedorah is an alien that started as a microscopic, organism that just grew and grew due to Japan's pollution. And Godzilla could only manage to kill it thanks to human technology. Without the humans, Godzilla wouldn't stand a chance. And most people don't talk about this, and it's pretty, sad that, we don't discuss about this monster that technically in the Showa period is one of the top tier I think it is the top tier monster in the Showa films. Like, the only reason why I feel like people, undermine Hedorah is because in Godzilla Final Wars, he just gets obliterated one shot by Godzilla. But the thing is, Final Wars Godzilla is just very overpowered. That was his thing, the whole point of the film was to show how powerful he was as one shot at all these monsters, and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just real sad that we didn't get to see more of Hedorah in this film, because in Final Wars we see he had this cool groovy design, and even this cut footage of him releasing smog with this tube, and it looked cool and stuff, but Hedorah just needs more love, man. Number 1. Now, for my number 1 pick, it's a monster that I don't understand. Like, it's really weird to say, like, when anyone asks me what's my favorite Godzilla monster, I have an answer that I answer with no hesitation. Number 1 is Gigant, the cyborg alien monster. Gigant is a monster that I really can't explain why he's my favorite. Maybe it's because I love his design and personality. Maybe it's his origin story of him being an alien that became a cyborg. And maybe it's his buzzsaw belly. Or the awesome Final Wars design. I personally think it's just a combination of all of them. I love his Showa era, where he's the sadistic monster that will actually flee the moment he realizes that he's losing the fight, which I find so funny. And he's also the first monster that actually made Godzilla bleed, which is something to take note of. He also has all these sort of cool abilities that are not shown in the films, but are shown in, promotional stuff and in video games. But, they're still supported by the canon. Like, apparently he has flamethrowers installed in his mouth. It's that he didn't use them in the film. He can also fly, which is something I tend to forget that he could do. He's also borrowed by the Seatopians and Godzilla vs. Megalon when they're like, they need a monster, so they just phone up the aliens from the Space Nebula, you know, Hunter M, whatever they're called, from the film Godzilla vs. Gigant. They're like, yo, man, can we borrow your monster Gigant to help Megalon to take over the world, or not, remember, or destroy Japan? I think it was destroy Japan. But which is pretty funny. They're doing this because Japan, you know, is testing nuclear weapons, and they could feel the you know, the, because they live underground, they could feel everything all shaking and stuff. I'm like, couldn't they just tell the world, hey guys, we live here, can you please stop? But I guess sending in giant monsters to destroy Japan, I guess that just solves their issues, you know. Godzilla Final Wars also has his epic double-pronged buzzsaw hands that he gets, you know, which is called Modified Gaiken, and oh man, even before his Modified, he's already cool. He has these scythe-like hooks, and then he has like grapple chains, you know, and he has to pull on Godzilla just to lose his head. Man, Gigan's like Ghidorah, where he comes back all the time, like, comes back, but he never wins a fight. Oof. Oh man, my boy Gigan, he's got and then, as well as that, in the Godzilla anime trilogy tie-in prequel novels, we have pre-cyborg Gigant fighting Godzilla and losing over and over again. Each time he loses, he has to get a body part replaced, you know, with cybernetics, and to become more machine than monster. And then it ends with him sacrificing himself to help the humanity have a chance. And only thing that remained was a single skull that was buried in his honor. Man, I just love Gigant, and I really wish we could have more of him, but something tells me Toho doesn't want to use him that often. Also, Gigant's really cool in the comics as well. You know, that's also why I love Gigant as well. He's cool in the comics. You know, that's my top 10 monsters list. I hope you enjoyed it. I know this is a more simple video compared to the whole iceberg video, which is on Magnum Opus, but yeah, we're probably not going to do that for quite a while. I've been the Basement Dweller. Take care, everybody. And I hope you have yourself a groovy day. Bye-bye. The exit should be to the right of you. Bye-bye.